Today we're going to revisit one of my favorite computers of all time. This is my Beige PowerMac G3 desktop, which has been pretty massively upgraded. This thing has a 1 GHz Sonnet G4 in here, as well as max RAM, SSD, and all kinds of stuff. But I've actually been sitting on an upgrade for this for quite a while that I am extremely excited about. This is an ATI Radeon 9200 128 megabyte PCI graphics card, Mac edition, and it is probably the best possible graphics card you could stick into this machine. So let's get this thing installed and see just how much of a difference it makes. So stay tuned. So first, just a quick refresher about what's actually inside this machine. So we upgraded this to a 1 GHz Sonnet G4, which is actually running at 1.05, and max out the RAM to 768 megabytes. We have 10411 on here, and we have an SSD, and we have a CF card that works as the OS 9 boot disk. And we also upgraded the video card a little bit. So we can see we actually have two video cards in here. This is the built-in video card. And then we put a Rage 128 out of a blue and white G3 in here, which is a 16 megabyte card, which is granted a lot better than the 2 megabyte card that's built into the motherboard, but still, we're going to throw a 128 megabyte video card in here, which should make a huge difference. And I think even be core image compatible, which will give us all sorts of graphical goodness, such as better video playback, transparent title bar, and all kinds of stuff. So we should do a little bit of a comparison. Now, when we first upgraded this machine, we did a couple of tests with 10.4 Fox trying to see if we could get it to play YouTube videos, but I'll link the original videos below, or maybe I'll put it like right here or something. But I think we should take a little bit of a baseline and go to the Mac Yak YouTube channel, which is my favorite show on YouTube, and see how well a Mac Yak repeat broadcast actually plays. So YouTube is about the most strenuous thing that these old machines can try to do, not just because of the videos themselves, but because the YouTube site is so bloated and heavy with JavaScript and crazy plugins going on that it slows the whole thing down to a crawl. So even loading a YouTube page, this loaded impressively fast for this machine, which was like 10 seconds, which of course by modern standards is quite slow. But let's take a look at Mac Yak number 91 from October 1st, 2020, and see if we can't get the replay with chat and audio. We'll just try to fast forward in a little bit to some of the action.
Oh, he's outside.
All right. So we are actually playing, and we have the audio coming out of the front-mounted case speaker. And the audio is fine. And we have chat replay, but video itself is running at about 1 frame per second. Let's see if we can scrub a little further into the broadcast here. And yeah, that takes quite a while to fast forward. There we go, playing again. We've got our audio. And the video is catching up.
Alright, so that's always gonna keep asleep. No, I'm not.
Yeah, well, it's playing, and you can see it's moving at about 1 frame per second. So that's our benchmark to beat. Let's see if 128 megabytes makes a big difference over 16 megabytes in this YouTube playback. All right, let's crack into this thing. Okay, let's just take a look around a couple of the upgrades that we've put into this machine already, starting with this glorious piece of purple power right here. That is our Sonnet 1 GHz CPU. And of course, we've maxed this out with 768 megs of RAM. This compact flash card holds OS 9 and OS 10.3 to make sure we can always boot this machine. And underneath it is a 120 gigabyte SATA SSD, which is powered and connected to an actual SATA controller card that runs via PCI. So this is real, honest SATA. And we also have a Sonnet Firewire and USB 2.0 card. This is the Wings personality card, which gives AV in and out on OS 9. And then we have our Rage 128 video card out of a blue and white G3, which is what we're going to be upgrading today. So over here is a knock to a 40mm fan that I added because I'm worried about heat coming off of this high-powered processor here, and I'm even more worried about it now because we're throwing a more powerful video card in here. So I think I'm going to swap this out for a slightly larger fan. Alright, so I had to mount it at this weird angle because I'm just using these vent holes here as mounting holes, which that's not what they're intended for, so the screws don't exactly line up. But I've got 2 screws in there, fits nice, and it's going to blow some air onto the graphics card and then air around to the CPU, and then that air is then sucked up out of the power supply, which is the only fan this computer came with, and then out the back of it. Okay, let's get our new graphics card in there, which has VGA, S-Video, and DVI, which is pretty sweet. Okay, so I'm going to power it on like this to make sure I didn't miss anything stupid, but you should never really have this thing running with the case open like this, and I just heard the bong, that's good. But the only fan in the real version, in the original version of this, is the fan up here in the power supply, and if you have the case open, that fan is not doing anything for this processor. So I'm just going to start it like this and make sure it's running. And yeah, my new knock to a fan is blowing. That's good. Don't see anything on the screen though. And we are connected to VGA. Alright, I'm going to close up this computer before I test any further. But so far, nothing up on the monitor. Okay, so I've got the cover closed now. Let's fire this up and give it a minute to see if something happens on the screen. Okay, let's try it with built-in audio with this little adapter, just to make sure we didn't fry something when we took the thing apart. Okay, so now we're getting a message that says no active package. So video is working on built-in video, and I'm pretty sure this means that open firmware has become confused. And I ran into this kind of thing a ton when I was first building this machine. So let's try resetting NVRAM and some stuff like that to see if we can get this to boot. Okay, so with the card removed, it does seem to want to boot into macOS from the built-in video, so I think I need to figure out what's going on with open firmware here. Alright, so I did a CUDA reset, and then I was able to boot into open firmware, and from open firmware I did init-nvram, and when I reinstalled the new PCI card after that, now we're able to boot into macOS 9 off of the CF card, so the Radeon 9200 is installed right now, and the computer did boot. So let me try to hook the monitor up to the 9200 and see what happens. All right, it's working. So this is booting up OS 9 connected to the 9200. So now all we got to do is boot into macOS 10. So I'm going to shut this down, close this computer up, and then I'll show you the convoluted stuff we have to do to get back to the SATA SSD with Tiger on it. All right, we've got the Beige G4 back together. We've got the monitor connected to VGA on the 9200, so let's power this on and see if it works. The screen is flickering to life. Yep, booting into Mac OS 9. So now we just have to take a couple of slightly convoluted steps to get from OS 9, which doesn't recognize the SATA card, into Tiger on the SATA card. So let me show you how that works. So what I had to do was use the OS 9.2 install on the CF card to use ex post facto to boot into 10.2, which is the earliest version of Mac OS 10 that can see that PCI SATA controller card. So now we're still on the CF card. We're going to use ex post facto again to boot into the 10.4 Tiger install. Now, one hiccup is that 10.2 doesn't seem to want to start from the 9200, the new video card. So first I want to check and just see if 10.2 sees that video card. So we'll just pop into System Profiler. Devices. Actually, I'm not sure where it is in this version of System Profiler. Firewire, USB. Yeah, I don't know that this sees the new video card. Oh, yeah, duh. Card, video memory, 128. So it does see it, but what I'm going to do is boot into Tiger using ex post facto, and then I'm going to quickly run and switch the video VGA cable to the other video card, and we'll see if that works. Oh my God, check it out. We're in. The 128 megabyte 9200, we are booted off of that video card. That's amazing. I'm so excited that this actually worked, and it wasn't even too much trouble. So let's see, about this Mac, we've got 10411, 1.05 gigahertz G4, and our 768 megs of RAM. Let's check our video and system profiler. And yeah, ATI Radeon 9200 with 128 megs of memory. So I think it's time to try out our little benchmark here. So let's pop into 10.4 Fox, and yeah, wow, this feels way smoother than it did before, like incredibly. All right, youtube.com/MacYak. All right, honestly, this feels like it's loading pages much quicker. Yeah, even scrolling feels, well, not smooth, but almost smooth. Well, not that smooth. All right, let's check out MacYak number 91 from October the 1st, which is the one we tried earlier. And that seems to have loaded into the initial intro much more quickly. It's not actually playing yet. All right, let's try to scrub forward a bit. All right, we've got audio. We've got chat coming up. Let's see if we wind up better than 1 frame per second. All right, I think it's buffering. Alright, so honestly, I think we might have gone from 1 frame per second to 2 frames per second. Unfortunately, I was hoping for a little bit better, but let's give this the benefit of the doubt because it is trying to do like the live chat replay and stuff. So I wonder if we can get anything even remotely resembling watchable playback. Alright, so let's try a regular video just on my own channel. And we're still loading a bit here. Bit of the old spinning beach ball. And we'll try the first of the G4 Cube videos because everybody seems to like that. And see if we get anything better than about 2 frames per second. Alright, well, we're playing audio. Alright, so after about 5 minutes, it did load the video. Certainly not playing it very well. Alright, I don't know how much lower the settings can go, but I think we're probably already at the lowest. I think that, at least in Tiger, YouTube is kind of out of the question. Oh, it's at 360p. Can we go to 240? 144p. Will it play 144p YouTube?
Though a nice machine, really was just a slab of sculpted plastic that looked absolutely prehistoric by comparison. The Cube had okay specs for the time. It came with either a 450 or 500 megahertz PowerPC G4 processor of...
You know what? I think that's going at an almost reasonable rate. I mean, it's a slideshow, but it's a motion slideshow. I'd call that about 5 to 10 frames per second. With perfect audio, mind you, coming out of the cool front case speaker of the Beige G3, well, Beige G4. So that's pretty awesome. But I think if we wanted to get any better YouTube performance out of this thing, we'd have to go to Leopard. And I think that might be a project for another day, because how cool would it be to run a Macintosh G3 from 1997 on Mac OS X Leopard? And maybe we could even install the Impossible Cat, the beta version of 10.6 Snow Leopard that was released to developers for PowerPC and then scrapped at the last moment to make Snow Leopard Intel only. Alright, so I'm just going to run a quick Geekbench benchmark since the YouTube benchmark was a little underwhelming. Alright, so funny enough, we scored 448, which last time we scored 450, so that's pretty much exactly the same. So maybe the Geekbench benchmarks don't really pay too much attention to image stuff. I mean, there is the integer score, which does image compress and image decompress and stuff. Well, yeah. So Geekbench, exactly the same. But hey, at least it feels snappy. So on this honestly pretty epic bombshell, we're going to call this video here. But definitely stay tuned. This is not the last time you're going to see the Beige G4, which again is probably my favorite computer that I own because it's just so off-the-wall crazy upgraded beyond anything anybody could have dreamed of in 1997 when this thing came out. So if you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate a thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more Macintosh shenanigans like this, please subscribe down below, and I'll see you in the next video. And a special thanks to Sorta Eclectic, Chris, and Spike, who are my highest tiered patrons, and all of my Patreon supporters for helping make this video possible.